Hello everyone, welcome back to another interesting session of the Analyst. Today we are going to comprehensively discuss 7 articles under 2 sections. These articles have been sourced from the Hindu and the Indian Express. In section A, we will analyze 2 articles in depth. First relates with the theme of edible oil imports in India, its current scenario, impact of high import dependency, various initiatives undertaken by the government and the way forward for the same. Second article is about the textile industry, its present status and the significance, challenges, various government efforts and the measures that can be further adopted. Next, in section B, which is the simplified section, we will take another 5 articles along with the value addition part. This will help you in your upcoming prelims. So stay tuned. So beginning with the first article of the day, which is about the import of edible oil, particularly soybean oil from Nepal to India. Now the context is that Nepal itself is a marginal producer of the commodity. However, there has been 14-fold increase in the imports when it comes to India from Nepal, and if we see the statistics, this has gone from around $1.42 million to about $23.46 million. Now let's take the overall edible oil import sector area and discuss what are its challenges. Over the years, we have also seen that these imports have been increasing, and this is not to say that we have not taken efforts. We have, and those efforts have seen some success also, but certain challenges still remain. So let's discuss more about it and see how the global market also affects domestic production of edible oil in India also. Starting with some of the statistics and the current scenario, you would see that India actually deals with about 5 to 6% of global production when it comes to edible oil production. So despite accounting for 5 to 6% of the production, India still remains an importer, which amounts to around 39.66 or around 40 million tons. This is as per the data of 2023-24. Another statistics is about we have different kinds of edible oils ranging from groundnut, soybean, which is the context, the recent context, sunflower, mustard, sesame, Niger and safflower. Now there are other non-conventional also, maybe it could be prepared from rice bran and other sources. Then there is vegetable oil economy, and when we talk about in terms of India's share, India holds the 4th largest. It is at the 4th largest position after USA, China and Brazil. In terms of trade, we are able to expect and we are able to achieve the trade to the tune of 29,587 crores. This happened again in 2023-24 financial year. This was with regards to oilseed and oil meal exports. Another information to be added to your knowledge is that India, despite all of these efforts, despite the trade, export and everything, India still imported around 16.5 million tons of edible oils, which in fact accounted for 57% of its consumption. So largely even India is not able to cater to its own 50% of its consumption. More than 50% is being imported. Exactly, it is about 57%. So this is some of the statistics when it comes to edible oil scenario. Now let's see that in Indian market, if we see by the type, there are different types. I've just mentioned that there is palm oil, soybean oil, mustard oil, sunflower oil and others. So majorly the share goes to palm oil. Then the second comes to soybean oil. So the relevance of soybean oil in this immediate context and the article. Then we have mustard oil, of course, sunflower oil and the rest. Then if we see by market size in 2023, India has a market size of around US dollars of around 4.31, and this is in billion dollars. Then 2030 we have a potential to reach around 6.84, or you can take it as 7 USD billion dollars. So this tells you about the potential that this area and this theme of the discussion has in India's context, whether it's agriculture, whether it's economy or even the livelihood concerns. Then next, if we talk about and see some of the criteria on India's scale, total oilseed yield. As you can see from this diagram, there are certain areas which are in dense green color. This shows that these areas are giving extreme or good yields of oilseeds. This then comes to Telangana, Gujarat, here your Tamil Nadu, and of course here Haryana as well. Then when it comes to oilseed production, this area, especially Rajasthan, then your MP stood stands at the top position. When it comes to, and let's see, if we talk about area under oilseed production, then again Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and little lesser Gujarat and Maharashtra, they stand at the top ranks. So this is to give you an idea what sort of area, coverage and production do we have on India scale. What is the impact that this high dependency of oilseed brings to India? This can have certain impacts, positive and negatives, majorly negatives. Let's just note some of them. So yes, first is price volatility. As long as we are importing major segment of the oil seeds for which our economy, our livelihood is dependent, we are also putting ourselves towards the vulnerabilities of global price change, global comparativeness. If you are importing global products, and let's say if there are some supply constraint, if there are some demand supply chain issues, then we are going to export at the higher price, even if, because these oil seeds are certain basic products that we need in our economy also. So this, we are actually exposing ourselves to this price volatility. Then it also affects the domestic products when, let's say, if the imports, if we are reducing the custom duties, then products, the foreign products or the imports that we are doing, they are coming at a lower cost and domestic producers are not getting enough incentive to produce their own. And second is, there is of course an strain on government exchequer when 57% of the share is something that we are importing. It impacts, of course, fiscal balance. It diverts the resources that we could have successfully probably could have utilized for other sectors. It could be cultural diversity, it could be establishing educational institutes, establishing healthcare institutes, and all of that. Then there is future risk. As we have seen, there is a potential of this industries to grow ahead. And there is a prediction of, as per by certain studies, that it will go to more than 20 million tons in the near future, and we will be importing this amount of edible oils. So, of course, we are putting ourselves to more risk even in the upcoming future if we do not take proper precautions and actions. Then there are policy implications. If, let's say, as we saw during Ukraine-Russia war, that is still ongoing, but when it started, we saw the FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, its vegetable oil price index saw the increment. Why was that? Because it shows the prices of the edible oils, which were where these supply chains were disturbed because of the ongoing war. And that's why the prices were increased. And in effect, this led to certain policy implications for various countries, particularly those which are dependent on those imports. One being India itself. So the policy makers were making their policies as per the supply, as per the ongoing conditions during all of these emergency situations. Then now coming down to Nepal, the present context of the article. Nepal is one of the participants under SAARC nations, and we have successfully signed free trade agreement with SAARC nations. Using that route, Nepal is exporting this refined edible oil, particularly refined soya bean oil, and we have seen the jump in of 14 times. So the products are coming at a lower price. And of course, Nepal itself is not a producer, not at least a major producer. It's just a marginal producer. So this, in fact, indicates the task of and the impact of dumping, particularly agricultural product dumping. This is happening via Nepal to India. Now, let's see what are the government initiatives which various governments have taken, central or state, to cater to the demands of the production of edible oil and to take care of all of these concerns that we just highlighted. So first of all, there was a mission, National Food Security Mission, under which there was one segment related to oil seeds and oil palm. 9 oil seeds were put under this list so that they could be given certain incentives and production could be increased. Now there is one specific and targeted production towards palm oil also, and we are seeing that this production takes place in certain areas including Andaman and Nicobar and especially northeastern states. And this would increase the area under palm oil from 3.7 lakh hectares to around 10 lakh hectares by 2025-6. At least when this mission was launched, this was our mission statement. So this was the target, to increase the palm oil production. Then we also have Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, which is also the segment that is dedicated towards establishing initiatives at the various state levels. Of course, related to edible oil production is Raftar, or short terms, it is also known as RKVY Raftar, which is Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana. Then there are other initiatives also. First is that there is a provision of MSP for oilseed crops. There are buffer stocks that we are maintaining now so that these price volatility and issues that generate from import of these edible oils are not bigger in dimensions that we cannot take care of. There is also cluster demonstration of oilseed crops. So yes, when we are propagating and giving incentives to these farmers so that they come ahead and take to oilseed production, there is cluster demonstration also. This reduces the input cost for the farmers, and it becomes beneficial to take to this agriculture and harvesting. Like I said, this oil palm mission on edible oil, this is related to growing these crops, palm oil, especially in Northeast India and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. And the budget and the outlays around 11,000 crore. Now, what can we do? This is, so far we have seen the challenges. We have also seen what the government has done to improve the situation on ground. Now, what else can we do? So first of all, we have to take to diversifying oil sources, not just these 5 or 6 that we have read about. We have to take to non-conventional sources like cotton seed, like rice bran, and domestically grown palm instead of importing it from Indonesia or Malaysia, which are the major palm oil exporters. Then we have to support oilseed farmers. Right from all those backward-forward linkages, we have to ensure that these farmers get all the incentives and the help that they need at the input stages and also post-harvest stages, including storage. Then we have to embrace new technologies, state-of-the-art technologies, so as the time given to produce these crops is reduced. Extreme weather effects could be mitigated. GM crops, genetically modified crops and its species could be identified and could be deployed, especially in case of, we have seen in Indian case, we have we have conducted certain trials of GM crops, especially mustard and other crops. So, and soybean, including soybean also. So we can take to all of these technologies, so increase the production. Then we definitely have to reduce this import dependency because, and this will only reduce when we take certain domestic actions. So we have to simultaneously take up certain domestic initiatives as well as comply with reducing all of these from external imports. Then we have to raise awareness, educate consumers about its uses, about how crop production do not necessarily has to be wheat and rice all the time, why crop diversification is needed, why domestic oil brands can be promoted, just like we have encouraged Make in India initiatives. The similar thing could also be taken on the grounds of probably use local. So domestic oil brands could be promoted, we can use local, we can also dictate the benefits of using locally grown oils. It is also climatically adapted and adjusted. Then we have to amend this SAARC a free trade agreement that has been signed between SAARC nations. So South Asia Free Trade Agreement, there is a clause so that we can avoid this dumping which is happening across India and Nepal borders via Nepal. So this we have to ensure that this is taken care of. Now time is for today's mains practice question. So this is the question for you. I hope you are able to write this question. Do write this answer. Okay, the second article of the day is about textile sector in India. Prime Minister has recently attended Bharat Tex 2025 in New Delhi, and he has applauded various initiatives that we have taken in this sector. Now we will see the textile sector. There are different departments of it. There are different sectors to it, right from spinning, weaving, knitting, and manufacturing apparel as well. So there are a wide range of activities, and they are associated with generating employment. They are also concerned with GDP share, exports, and other things. So now this textile sector is very crucial for India's economic landscape, being the second largest generator of employment after agriculture sector. So now let's see and read about in detail about this sector. First of all, at present, there are certain statistics related to this sector. Let's see some of them. When it comes to domestic apparel and textile industry, it contributes to around 2.3% of GDP. Please remember this data. It will help you in your mains examination also. And it also leads to 13% of industrial production. apart from 12% of exports. This is a very crucial data, please remember this. Then it also contributes to 4% of global trade, not just Indian trade, but global trade that India has. And when it comes to exports, in financial year 2022, this was the third largest contributor, and it had a share of around 5.4% share in our exports. Raw material, we are the largest producer of cotton. We are also one of the largest producer of jute, and we remain the second largest producer of silk. So these are conditions which ensure that textile sector could grow multiple times in India, given the potential that it has. Then employment generation, it is the second largest employer. Like I said, it generates around 45 million of direct related or directly connected jobs, and indirectly connected jobs as an allied sector. It also leads to 100 million additional jobs. And if you see the regions, then it is prominent in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Haryana, Gujarat and Jharkhand. These are top textile and cloth manufacturing states in India. So you can remember in your map, you can mark it somewhere so that if, let's say, they ask you in prelims an idea on the textile sector and its distribution across India, this will be helpful. Then diverse segment, like I said, it has handloom, it also has powerloom, it has mill sectors and various segments also within the industry. Now, just like any other industry, there are certain factors of location. Why any industry is located in a particular place, there are certain reasons behind it. That could be power, or that could be, of course, availability of land. Industries like textiles are very crucial when it comes to land, because it needs adequate amount of land availability as well as power supply to ensure that these apparel is being manufactured timely. Then we need transport and market. Why we need transport and logistics to ensure that final products or the raw material itself or the different segmental raw materials reach to the market and we are able to sell them. Then climate, of course, it affects the growing conditions of the raw material, be it cotton, be it jute, be it silk or others as well. Then labor, skilled labor, we do need it so that if we have enough labor, if we have labor surplus, our cost of production will remain lower and our products will be able to compete at the global scale also. Then capital, yes, it is capital intensive. If there are certain segments, there are certain machines also we do need to ensure that advanced manufacturing and apparel production happens. Then of course, water, that is also required. So this tells that this industry is resource intensive. Water, we do need water, we do need land also. And security arrangement. Apart from banking, insurance and the government initiatives and situations and the conditions that they have given to ensure that this industry grows progressively. Now, there are certain challenges also. In this sector, despite being the second largest producer or employer of the country, there are certain challenges that still plague this area. First of all, raw material fluctuations. All of the raw materials that is required in this industry, be it cotton or jute, they are dependent on the climatic condition. If, let's say, the enough amount of water is not available, or if, let's say, there are floods or other disasters, these crops will not be as per the as per their eminent production. The productivity will suffer, the production will suffer, and when the raw material is not available, the textile industry cannot prosper. Then technological upgradation. There are modern machineries that is being employed across the globe in various countries, be it Vietnam, be it Bangladesh, be it US or China. And if we do not employ those tools, maybe some automation efforts also, to reduce the manual labor, increase the speed, decrease the cost of production, maybe we will not be able to compete these global players. Then environmental concerns, because like I said, this industry is resource intensive. We need water, we need land, we need energy also in the form of power that is either being produced renewably or non-renewably. So we do need resources, and when these resources are extracted, this leads to environmental concerns. One of them being is greenhouse gas emissions and eventual climate change. So these concerns have to be taken care of. In the recent sense, you must have seen the concept of sustainable clothing. So that sustainable clothing, the term itself is about the less intensive or less use of these resources such as water or energy. the more sustainable the clothing are, they are being marketed, they are being branded as the same, so that there is a positive sentiment related to it. Now, another factor, another challenge that we see is competition from some other countries which have already developed these industries in their own countries, and they are somehow able to sell their clothes at a lower prices than India, or relatively lower prices than India. That could be Bangladesh, Vietnam, China. If those products or the final products is able to enter India's market, the domestic producers will suffer, because of course people are able to get cheaper clothes at the same rate with the same quality. So that is one of the issue. And regulatory hurdles. We have to ensure there are proper regulations, but we do have to take care and balance it with facilitation also. So yes, compliance is necessary with certain basic requirements, but it has to be gradual. We cannot impose, it's not a once at a time thing. We have to take it at different stages, take care of the concerns of both sides, seller as well as manufacturer, from the government as well as the market, so that these regulatory hurdles in effect acts towards the production and prospering this textile industry and not against it. So like I said, these are certain factors which are highlighting that there are certain challenges: skilled labor, competition, and technological obsolescence, maybe weakness of the obsolete machinery, and environmental concerns. Now, coming to various efforts that government has done over the years and the initiatives. First one is, there is a PLI scheme. PLI scheme is Production Linked Incentive Scheme. So this is, the government of India has launched it at the outlay of around more than 10,000 crore. It is at around 10,683 crores. It is for man-made fibers and technical textiles. Remember, technical textiles and general textiles are a bit different. The purpose in case of technical textile is its functionality rather than aesthetics, which is the case of other general textiles. So there is an investment of, so yes, there is one PLI scheme. Then we have also taken efforts when it comes to man-made fibers, or we can call them as technical textiles. Other efforts we are expecting, after these efforts, we are expecting the investment of around, or to the tune of 19,000 crore rupees, which will generate 7.5 lakh jobs. So certain of these statistics and parameters will help you in establishing and give substance to this scheme when you're writing it. Next mission is, or the next initiative is National Technical Textiles Mission. Like I said, this technical textile is a bit different. The purpose and the functionality, the mechanical advantage that this textile has makes it different from other sorts of textiles. So we have allocated around 1480 crores to this mission, and to establish India as a global leader when it comes to producing and generating technical textiles. And we would take to domestic production as well, and research also, because we need to ensure that certain investment is done towards research and development as well, so we can come up with better innovation and initiatives. Then another initiative is about Amended Technology Upgradation Fund Scheme. So this is a fund which has been allocated or directed towards technology upgradation of the textile sector that we have in India. It awards financial assistance to these manufacturers so that they can upgrade their machinery and reduce the cost of production, of course. At the same time, can reduce their wastage also, reduce the time also, and when the time delays are less, the cost is saved and the final product reaches the market sooner. Then there is skill development programs like Samarth. This particular scheme is about capacity building or skill building, and it's going to train around more than 10 lakh youth in various textile related sectors. So remember, this would train around 10 lakh or more than 10 lakh youths in various sectors of capacity building in the supply chain and all the backward and forward sectors of textile industry. Then we also have Mitra scheme. This is quite famous, and you must have heard about that there are 7 such parks which have to be established under this scheme. This scheme stands for Mega Integrated Textile Region and Apparel Parks. These are huge parks, end to end. It caters right from all the stages: spinning, weaving, knitting, apparel manufacturing, processing, and all of these stages are taken care of in the one industrial area, which is known as that MMT Mitra Parks. It is on a plug and play. It is, like I said, it caters to from end-to-end sectors. That's why it is called as plug and play ecosystem. Now, remember that this scheme will generate around 1 lakh direct and 2 lakh indirect employment per park. And how many parks do we have? We have around 7 parks. In that sense, this will lead to 7 lakh direct and of course 14 lakh indirect jobs. All right. Now, what can we do? Now, we have launched initiatives, but certain concerns remain. Now, to address them, to ensure that these are taken care of, we will take, or we can suggest these kind of efforts. First would be, we need policy intervention at the state as well as at the center level. At the center level, of course, there are initiatives which have been launched by the government of India at the central level. These are some of the central sponsored schemes, including PM Mitra scheme. Then we have initiatives at state level also. Now we have to ensure that these exports or the sources from where we are exporting, they are also diversified so that we are not dependent on only 1 or 2 countries. We have to diversify our own exports at the time when we are able to generate enough exports. We have to leverage these geopolitical shifts, because any of these geopolitical events are happening, there are certain chains or supply chains that gets promoted or certain chains which are blocked. So we have to ensure we are in cooperative terms with all of these chains so that this supply chain is not disturbed, and we have to positively leverage this geopolitical shifts, including Russia-Ukraine war, for an example. All right. Now the next effort would be, we have to reduce trade barriers. Yes, FTAs are needed. Now these FTAs that we have with SAARC countries, we have to ensure that these FTAs also take place when it comes to with developed countries such as European Union and others, so that trade barriers are removed and we can have export and healthy export-import relationship. And wherever the flaws that there are, let's say in case of Nepal or maybe SAFTA or South Asia Free Trade Agreement, we have to ensure that those are not wrongly utilized by any actors. So we have to amend them also. Then on the lines of Make in India, we have to promote the brands, the local brands, the products and the usage of them. We have to utilize the sentiment of probably Atmanirbhar Bharat or maybe we are local, so as to promote and help these local producers. Then, of course, trade agreements, like I have said, we have to ensure that these agreements takes place. And in one of the clauses, trade barriers could also be removed, and those products, the cost of production or the cost of importing will get reduced eventually. Now, time for the mains practice question. So this reads, a competitive textile sector is modern, sustainable and inclusive. You have to discuss the challenges and the measures that should be taken to develop such a competitive textile sector in India. So do write this answer. Coming to the simplified section, starting with the article first of the day. This is about the 3-year plan of cleaning Yamuna that has been rolled out by the Lieutenant of Delhi, and he has recommended a 4-step plan. So let's read more about these. We have been seeing this discussion of Yamuna pollution and the causes of it and the lack of efforts from the government part. Let's see what can we do so as this Yamuna river and the stretch that particularly lies in Delhi gets cleaned within the span of 3 years. So this is a 4-pronged strategy. Just as I mentioned, this remains at the core of the plan, and it has been rolled by Lieutenant Vinay Kumar Saxena. It will start with machines like trash skimmers, weed harvesters, and also dredge utility craft. So we will dredge and remove the deposition of extra material that has happened on the floor bed of the river. We will remove the extra weeds also that is disturbing the biodiversity and the ecosystem of the river. Now, second, doing actions is fine, but we have to ensure constant monitoring happens of all of these activities. We have to ensure constant and strong vigil. So for that, it will be monitored at the highest level every week. Apart from it, Delhi Pollution Control Committee it has been directed to keep a strict vigil, because that is, like I said, it is very important so that we have constant information on what is being happening. It will keep a vigil on discharge of untreated effluent into the drains by industrial units in the capital. There are 3 major drains when it comes to as long as we are dealing with the pollution in Yamuna, in the Delhi stretch. I will tell you about those drains, but for now just understand that there needs to be a strong village on those effluent being discharged from those drains. Next come that under this strategy, the authority concerned first starts with the trash, garbage and silt in the river system. They will remove it, and simultaneously cleaning operations in 3 drains. What are those 3 drains? There is Najafgarh drain, then there is which is supplementary drain, and all other major drains designed. So let me tell you what are those: Najafgarh and supplementary and Shahadara. There are 3 major drains which we consider as long as when we are talking and discussing polluting drains. Now we have to also ensure and keep a watch on existing sewage treatment plants, at what capacity they are being operated, and if they are not being operated at their full capacity, what are the reasons. We have to take care of those reasons. And if they are inadequate, let's say the number of STPs are inadequate, we have to take care and generate and establish new STPs also to meet the shortfall of around 400 million gallons a day of sewage. Now at the present context, we have a shortage of around this capacity of around 400 MGD, which is million gallons a day. This water is still remaining untreated despite having these STPs. So we need to construct new ones also. Now coming back to Yamuna River. So there are 4 prominent right bank tributaries of Yamuna, as you can see in the map. This is Yamuna. This is starting from Yamunotri here. So we have 4 right bank tributaries, which are, as you can see, Betwa. We also have Kane. We have Chambal. We have others as well, like Sindh also. Now you have to tell me in the comment section what are the 4 prominent left bank tributaries of Yamuna. Okay. Moving ahead, the next article, which talks about the concept of carbon capture. As you must have heard about the initiative and the concept of carbon capture and storage, CCS. So let's read that there are prominent issues about it, as there has been a research and some studies that has been going on, and the paper has been published, and they have said that this strategy is quite capital intensive and probably more intensive than other sustainable initiatives. So let's read more about this. So first of all, global warming is the result of certain gases being released beyond a permittable limit. And which is the prominent gas? That carbon dioxide, we all know. Now it is building up in the air and preventing the planet from cooling. And in effect, it is leading to heating up of the Earth's surface and the Earth atmosphere also. Now, human response to climate change generally is categorized under 2 subcategories, which are those, of course, adaptation, and we also have mitigation, right? Adaptation generally deals with adapting to the present conditions that we have come through. Now we will try to adjust to the situations that we have at the current moment. Now mitigation is about reducing. Let's say we have increased certain amount of these emissions in our atmosphere. We will try to mitigate and reduce those by taking some proactive efforts. That will be termed as mitigation. So our strategy is limited to these 2 major steps. So when it comes to this carbon capture and storage, an important type of technology, carbon capture and storage falls under the category of these both, mitigation as well as adaptation. So now there are certain initiatives which fall specifically under mitigation, or certain of them are which are specifically has to do with the adaptation. But when it comes to this strategy or this technology, carbon capture and storage, this deals with both adaptation as well as mitigation. So now when we do this, or when we conduct these kind of operations, we have seen, now this has been found in this study, which is the Journal of Environmental Science and Technology. It has come out with the finding that deploying these kind of technologies will be more expensive than switching to other renewable energy. So now we are under the constant thinking and thought process whether what we are doing is even sustainable or not. If we can easily employ or deploy all of these renewable energy, then why to take to CCS technologies or carbon capture and storage technology if they are super costly or expensive? Now, and this is the cost difference, the relative cost difference is around 9 to 12 times. So it's not just 1 or 2 times costlier, it is 9 to 12 times costlier, which makes us think whether we should continue with it or maybe probably come up with newer technologies. So to reduce or offset CO2 emissions, policies that promote CCS in 149 countries will overall incur around 9 to 13 times the social cost of those countries. And so it's better, the result is, the understanding after this, reading this article is, it's better to take to establishing and generating renewable energy. That could be wind, that could be solar, that could be hybrid, or that could be hydrothermal energy also. If at the present level of technology that we have, CCS have come out to be costlier alternative. But this is just one of the studies. This is for your current understanding and reading that we have taken this discussion. But now, reading more about and discussing on carbon capture and storage, like I said, this is a technology designed to capture one particular gas, which is carbon dioxide. It captures them from the sources where they are being released, transport it if that transportation is needed, and store it underground. So this element, you have to remember that this is finally stored underground to prevent its release into the atmosphere. The entire concept is to not to let that emitted gas release into the atmosphere. We will still store it, but probably underground. Now there are stages: we capture, we transport, and then storage happens. So there are the 3 crucial stages. These generally happens. These involve certain industrial processes, also power plants, various pipelines. So there is an entire range of infrastructure which is needed to conduct these stages. These are not as easy as they sound. This require a lot of investment, lot of science and research and implementation aspects also. Now, more to this, there are challenges apart from what we have read in this article, that this is, yes, this is expensive. We have already read this. This is energy intensive process also. So when we are talking and comparing it with the other renewable energies, we are seeing this carbon capture and storage in itself is an energy intensive process. First, we'll have to generate energy. Then we will deploy this energy to conduct CCS technologies. There is always, even if you store it underground, let's say we have stored and successfully capture that carbon dioxide and somewhere stored it, there's always a risk. There could be some extraction activities, there could be earthquakes, there could be other disasters also which could lead to this leakage. Then limited commercial deployment, and even at the global scale, this technology is still in the novice phase, still in the initial phases because of its economy and policy challenges. So this is about the carbon capture as such. Now another article of the day, which is about one of the scheme which has been launched as a part of the budget recently, which is about Pradhan Mantri or Prime Minister Dhaanya Krishi Yojana. So as the word indicates, this scheme has been launched for the welfare of farmers. Two farmer related ministries are connected, and more to tell you about this, that they will, this is specifically on the lines of ADP. This scheme has been lines of the ADP. What is ADP? So this program was launched in 2018, known as Aspirational District Programs. There were certain districts which were chosen and they were extremely backward. Certain criteria were kept and they worked to achieve those targets. There was also a ranking system, and there were features like working on healthcare aspects, education aspect, agriculture aspects, and there were certain similar criteria also. Now this program aimed to quickly and effectively transform 112 districts. This was the case of Aspirational District Program, and there was a concept of, and this scheme particularly worked on 3 C's. What were those 3 C's? Convergence, collaboration, and competition. Convergence of various schemes, be it central or state, and of course collaboration of various nodal officers and district collectors, because they are the ones who implement these schemes on ground. And competition. So there was a case and provision of healthy competition among districts with by the, they maintained this delta ranking. It came out monthly on the monthly basis, and they were ensuring this healthy competition between all of these 112 districts. So this similar, the scheme that has been launched recently in the budget, which is Pradhan Mantri Dhan Krishi Yojana. This is on the lines of ADP also. And so 100 districts have been taken on the parameter of 3 criteria, which is low productivity, moderate crop intensity, and below average credit parameters. So productivity, I hope you guys understand. When it comes to crop intensity, what do we mean by crop intensity? So it tells you how efficiently we are using our agricultural land. Let's say if we are, let's say we have 10 acres of land, and if we are generating, or if we are using that land 4 times a year, basically 4 times, that is, it would work as good as 40 acres of land. So that has a good crop intensity. While if we have 10 hectares of area, but we are still using it for 5 or even at 10, that is not as good as using it for 4 times or at the level of 40 hectares of land. So in terms of proper definition, you can term is at the percentage of gross cropped area to the net sown area. So you would keep gross cropped area as the numerator and net sown area as your denominator. This will give you the level of crop intensity that any area has. So these are 3 parameters: crop intensity, low productivity, and below average credit parameters. On that basis, 100 districts have been finalized, and this scheme will be implemented there. The objectives are, of course, ensuring better productivity. There are also crop diversification, sustainable agriculture practices. Then there is also an aspect of storage post-harvest at the panchayat and block level. Then an element of irrigation facilities. Apart from that, in terms of credit also, because one of the criteria was credit, long term as well as short term. So these are few objectives and specifications about this scheme. Now at an all India level, the cropping intensity is at 155%. This is as per the data of 2021-22. If we go back to 1951 or 1950-51, this intensity was only 111%. From there, in 2022, we increased it to around 155%. This is, we are talking in terms of cropping intensity. Now, this program will help around 1.7 crore farmers. Funds are not specifically allocated towards this scheme. They will use by integrating all of the various schemes that are still available, and the 2 nodal ministries concerned with this scheme are Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare and the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairy. So this was about this scheme. Now to give you and have you an idea on the crop intensity and which areas of India specifically have better crop intensity, then you can see this West Bengal and this Punjab. This has the highest crop intensity. This of course has to do with the data of NCERT, which was given in 2009 and 10, but still gives you an idea. Apart from it, the areas such as this Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, then all of these areas, which is Haryana and Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, these are at again good level of cropping intensity, and the rest of them you can have a look on it. This will help you in understanding better concepts of agriculture, crop production and intensity. Now coming to the next article, which is about 24 Chinese military aircraft which transited through Taiwan Strait. So the point of importance here is the location of Taiwan Strait. Chinese keep on embarking and it goes on embarking on these kind of activities. It conducts such kind of activities in Taiwan Strait and near South Sea China Sea or East China Sea. Let's see. So Taiwan, it had said that these were certain Chinese military aircraft, 24 in number. They were near the island on Sunday, and as the Canadian warship passed through the Taiwan Strait. So the intention of Canada or be it other countries including US is to establish this strait as a global strait where trade could take place. So they keep on transiting this arena. But this is not to the liking of China, and China registers complaint. However, you have to know that Beijing has never ruled Taiwan, but China claims democratic islands as part of its territory. So its claims are weak. Having said that, the point of discussion is the strait is important. You have to know the location of the strait. This will help you in your upcoming prelims. So location and geography wise, it is a narrow waterway separating Taiwan from China. It connects the East China Sea with South China Sea, making it a crucial maritime route. Of course, a very important trade route also. Strategic importance, yes, it is the busiest shipping lane in the world. Well, not the busiest, but one of the busiest shipping lanes. And it is important for global trade. It is important for maintaining open and free oceans and navigation also. It is important for energy imports to East Asia. East Asia has China, Japan or South Korea. So it is important for their energy security also. It serves as a potential military flashpoint, like I said, between China and Taiwan and also global players like US and others. Now there are geopolitical tensions in the area. I have said there are different interests of different actors. China claims Taiwan as a part of its territory, although Taiwan say that it is democratic and it has never been ruled by China. It considers itself as a sovereign nation. There are frequent military drills and airspace incursion constantly being done by China to establish its fact. Then US supports Taiwan with arms sales and military presence in the regions. It increases tensions. Okay, so of course, US is also an active actor, not just in Indo-Pacific, but this part of oceans also. Now you can see and have a look on this series and important straits of the world. This will give you an idea of the location where they are located and have their geopolitical importance. This one again will be aiding in your UPSC prelims preparation. Now the last article of the day, which is about loggerhead turtles. This is not, you don't have to confuse these turtles with olive ridley turtles, which we generally find in Chilika Lake or at the coast of Odisha. So there is specific finding in the science section. We have found that they use geomagnetic field to navigate larger distance. The point of discussion here has more to do with the loggerhead turtles and their environmental importance. So let's see more about them and the article. That it has been learned that they can learn and remember these magnetic signature. Magnetic signature are magnetic criteria and the parameters that this animal, this turtle can remember of an area and does a turtle dance when in a location that they associate with food. So there have been two things that they have been able to find, that there is magnetic signature that these animals maintain, and whenever they are in a location that they associate with food, they start dancing. So this is one interesting finding, no doubt, but we are coming back to that this is one of the migratory species. You can learn about migratory species as such, and it navigate using the magnetic field of the earth. Now there is growing evidence which suggests that animals use the magnetic field of earth as a map and compass. So it becomes important for their navigation. Now coming back to our topic of discussion, which is the loggerhead turtles. The scientific name is as you can see Caretta caretta, and it is vulnerable in IUCN status. Remember it, the endangered status of this species. Physically, if we talk about physical features of it, it has a large head, strong jaw muscles, and it is reddish brown. It has the shell, which is also known by the term of carapace. It is reddish brown in color, and you can remember underside, it is pale yellow. Weight of around 100 to 180 kgs. I think this must be enough for your understanding for your prelims coverage. And this was regarding that. Now we are talking about the habitat and distribution of this species. So it is particularly found in tropical and subtropical areas, preferably coastal waters, continental shelves and estuaries. So yes, you may find it with olive ridley turtles also, but not to say that they cannot be found separately. Major nesting sites are USA, United States of America, Mediterranean, Oman, Australia and Japan. In India, it is actually rare but occasionally found in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Lakshadweep and Gujarat coast. Please remember these three areas. They can pinpoint in your prelims for your information. So this was all for today. Hope you liked this session. All the best.